Shane, Mia, thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having us.
We're here in one of your guys' projects, and it's close to home, I would say.
Very close.
Very close. And it's stunning. So we just finished walking through. I'm really, really, really impressed. We've been working with you guys for a few years. Have never been anything short of, really, really impressed with what you guys do, the attention to detail. Just tell me a little bit about kind of like your guys' ethos, what sets you apart. How do you keep delivering like unique, cool projects?
Yeah, I think we are a design build firm, so that gives us a little bit of an opportunity to think about how we're going to construct a project at the design stage. And I think we've been fortunate over the years to have clients that are a little bit more adventurous. So having that bit of experimentation, like letting us kind of try out some new ideas or take some risks that, if we were having a little bit more of a traditional or conventional client, then you don't want to take that risk. You want to have it like pretty straight down the center. And so, and then this house is kind of a good example of that, is that you test out a bunch of ideas. Like being my own family home, there's a bunch of mistakes in this house. I won't go and point them all out to you, but you kind of cut your teeth, right? Like you cut your teeth on your own projects and kind of try out some ideas and then get to try and refine that and take those same ideas and take them to a client. So I think having that design build piece of it has let us be a little bit more experimental.
And it's shone through for sure. And Mia, you're working primarily with the clients along that journey. How are you able to kind of not necessarily convince them that you're going to be able to pull off these like unique or experimental details, but just kind of how are you able to kind of guide them through that process and end up with that result?
Well, I think so much of it being client-driven is why we get the opportunity to do things that are so unique. Like each client is coming to us with a really unique property and they don't have ideas. And so they're leaning on us to see the opportunity. And then once you start the demolition, you can kind of take them through and explain to them, like, here's the vision. So I do think like the client-led decision-making is like what gives us the opportunity to do something a little bit more cool, as opposed to like pitching a full design and then building it.
Right.
Like we get to see the challenges as we take apart the house or as opportunities arise. And we're so close to the client from like beginning to end that like they gain that trust.
Okay.
Then they get just as excited.
And there's a couple questions there. Like from a product perspective, you guys do renovation work as well as new build. And from like knock down, start over, or take something down to framing and then double the size of the house and do an addition and kind of everything in between there, right?
Yeah, like our primary focus is that we need a client that requires permitting. So we don't necessarily want to do a renovation job that is
cosmetic.
A kitchen, right? Yeah. So we need something that's significant structural changes, requires a significant amount of permitting, and then that would be kind of the ideal client for us. And then also wants to work with Mia on their vision. So we are also wanting a client that is open to some big ideas.
Right. And so those clients that are kind of open to big ideas or taking on bigger projects, whether they're doing like a large scale renovation or starting new with a truly custom home, as you mentioned, because you're design and build, you're walking them through every step of that process hand in hand. Tell me a little bit how you're able to kind of manage client expectations and relationships, because I know that's something that's really difficult is, aligning your vision with theirs. And especially if you're doing the design, the build, and that overall concept and execution together, you're spending literally sometimes years with people, right? So how are you able to kind of keep that rapport and the vibes up?
I think from the get-go, like upfront, we like to qualify the clients with a budget. So it's very transparent, like, are we a good fit for you, but are you a good fit for us too?
Right.
Like we're such a small team, we have to maximize who we're taking on. But then I think just personality-wise, like we are very forthright with the whole process, and there's not a lot of like show to it. Like we really just like to get to know a client. It's the easiest way to understand what they want and what's going to be the best house for them, because a lot of the times a client can't really explain to you, this is exactly what I'm looking for. You have to read between the lines and get to know people. So just being really candid and personable, I think, is great to gain that trust.
I mean, we're celebrating 20 years this year.
20 years this year?
2005.
Holy smokes,
So,
congratulations.
thank you. I mean, with that though, like our clients become our friends. They become, right? Like we all live in the same community. Me, our whole design team is kind of urban Calgary based. So you have to be working with people that have a similar vision. And of course, we're not perfect. We've made some mistakes along the way, but for the most part, we've been fortunate to have clients that see the value in working with our team. We've always been really honest and careful with that client selection. And when we're part of our sales processes, I'll always say when we're getting deeper into a relationship with a client and we think that we've got the potential to be working together, we'll say like, this is like a marriage. And it is, right? Like you're going to be stuck with us for, the whole design process, then through the build, and then onto the warranty. And then we're going to, bump into each other at Safeway or, right, like at the Flames game. Like you have to have that relationship with this people because it is such an intimate business. Like it always blows me away is that we'll, have a meeting with somebody and before you know it, you have an inside look at their finances and you kind of know how they're going to be paying for their build, right? Like it's just such an intimate process. Whereas if you're working with, in a different, if you're building in the subdivision and you're kind of have like a higher volume of clients, or if you're doing like commercial office improvement type work, you don't get that sort of one-on-one intimacy that we end up developing with these clients because you're just with them for
forever.
Years.
It's a marriage.
Yeah.
I like that. So it's also an emotional ride as well. So it's intimate and emotional.
All of it.
It's all of those things.
Yeah, usually between us.
But never with clients. It's always super cool with clients, but in the office, right? Like you said that you're a smaller team. And so, so are we. And I know that it's almost like you become family. How do you guys, still have the ability to execute at a super high level, do professional work, and the vibes seem really fun in the office and it's like a really tight group? So just talk to me a little bit about balancing that in both the office or with a client where, as much as it's a marriage, it's still a professional relationship.
Well, I mean, we've been lucky because I think we get along really well. Like Mia is the client's advocate and like it's my business, so I'm the business advocate. So there'll be definitely some butting of heads where Mia really wants something for her client, and I'm like, Mia, come on, like no, or like and we would never advocate changing your mind once we're in construction. Like I hate that, I fucking hate that, changing our mind. But Mia's like, if it's got to be done, it's got to be done. So like we have construction projects that come to like a grinding halt because they've decided that we need to change something. And that's just kind of the nature, like it's frustrating, but like at the end of the day, like Mia, like we both know what's best for the client. We want it to be done right and how they want it done. But I think we've been able to play off of each other's strengths with like me knowing that we have to get a project done and Mia making sure that our clients get exactly what they want. Is that a good explanation?
I think so. I mean, Shane always says it's like the good cop, bad cop, and like those roles are reversed depending on the situation. But like, it is nice to have like Shane always looking over the business because I do get lost in like the vision of a client's dream home or like what's possible. But we do work for the most part with a fixed timeline. And so how do we honor what our client is looking for, but also make sure we're doing right by the business? So it's, again, just being super open about every single thing happening on a project and being involved in every aspect, I think, too, helps you manage like what is a good thing to bring up or come to a halt for and what thing is like great, but how can we work around it in another way?
Gotcha. And because you're involved in every project at every aspect, you're able to do that. And I'm assuming that has to do with like the number of projects that you take on in a year. And so like what, have been some of the challenges and some of the big wins from staying a certain size and staying boutique, small, focused, custom? as opposed to, and I don't know what the total number of projects is going to be this year. Let's say it's 15 or 20. The difference of taking it to, 30 or 40 projects, and like, just talk to me a little bit like the challenge of staying that size and some of the big benefits that come from staying boutique.
I mean, I find a big challenge is just that client management and making sure, like, it is a personal relationship. Like, I want to make sure each client feels like they're getting the attention they need, but things have to move forward. So like, how do you manage expectations with like, I have all the time in the world for you, but I also have a very finite amount of time for you. So
I have all the time, but no time.
Yeah, like I never want a client to feel like they're rushed into a decision or like this is their only option. So how do you make sure client expectation is moving forward and like progressing each time you connect, but also like this is fun and you enjoy the process. So it's a balance.
You're doing
Working
great.
on it.
You're doing great. Yeah.
And this is a growing business. We want more projects. We're always looking for more projects. But I think as we get deeper into this industry and understanding the projects that make sense for us and that are right for us and the clients that are right for us, there's just only so many of those to go around. So, I mean, this industry gets a bad rap. How many TV shows have you seen, or how many stories have you heard, or like if you're ever at a cocktail party or a dinner party and you want to get the conversation dies down, just say like, "Oh, tell me your awful rent." Yeah, and then people just want to rail on that, and I understand it because there's no barrier to entry into this business. Any like ding dong with a hammer and a pickup truck can kind of get going, and so you're constantly competing against newcomers, which I get it. It's an amazing business. There's a romance to what we do. It's exciting. But we just have to be careful on the projects clients that we take on. There's only so many of those to go around. And then when you get the good clients or the potentially good clients, and now you're kind of competing with some of the true professionals in this city. And there's lots of professionals that are as passionate about this business as we are. So just the nature of the way that this works is there's just only so many clients
that are the right fit.
That are the right fit, that are wanting to do what we do. And so I guess just by default, the size of our business has kind of been like, as I said, we're a growing business. Our budgets get bigger every year, the clients that we do, but the number of projects we do a year has been pretty consistent, I guess, throughout that. I guess the challenge with having, because you'd asked like with the design build model, the challenge is that like we're pretty true to that. We only build what we design. We only design what we build. Mm-hmm. And there's been a couple of opportunities over the year where maybe we've designed something that we didn't end up building, and it just kind of always has gotten lost in translation. Like the detailing of like the design work maybe would be different with how somebody else has done it compared to how we've done it, and so we don't get design work that we don't build. And then we all the time we get offered. I mean, it's happened even recently where we had a rather large project come our way that we didn't do the design work on, and we're kind of closed my eyes and said no, right? But you're just really limited to how much work you do if you're not willing to take on some other firm. And there's beautiful work that's come across our.
That you're like, well, if we didn't design it, we're not going to build it.
Yeah,
sorry.
Well, and then I come home and have a stiff drink and think like, shoot, that one would have been a really good one.
I didn't sleep that good that night, but I stuck to our core values.
Yeah.
So on that kind of thread, tell me like what really is the big win of only building what you design? Like why is that such a paramount key to success for you guys?
I mean, I think it's so rewarding because our projects always change throughout the process. Like there's always an opportunity that comes up, especially like the full gut, adding a bunch of square footage. Like there's always some opportunity that you don't see when it's pen to paper. You're walking through the space and you get to kind of put the finishing touch on it. Like I find it so rewarding just handing it over to the client. It's completely theirs. Like they're so excited about every detail that they were involved in too. Yeah.
So that like connection between, doing the design and building the project allows you to kind of like uncover hidden insights or opportunities throughout the life cycle of the project?
Yeah, like if your client comes to you with these weird ideas they've seen online, then you get to go, or I get to go directly to the trades and say, like, how can we make this come to life in Calgary? Because a lot of things we might not have access to, or it won't be to code here. How can we make this work within our budget, within the scope we're working in? And so it's a really great opportunity to learn about what's possible, but also like come up with unique solutions for a client that had no idea it could happen.
Got it. And then Shane, have you ever taken even one time a project that you didn't design and built it and been like, we should never do that again?
Oh, sure. I mean, we've designed projects that
You should have built and you hand it off and they didn't
I mean,
execute?
we've done more design work for projects that we haven't built, and every time we're just like, this is because I mean we're a mid-size shop, I guess, with some support staff on our design team, but we're limited. We got limited capacity, so if we're designing a project that we end up not building, then we're like, oh shoot, that would have been some capacity we could have done of our own projects. And I mean, I'm sure that we've built something that we haven't designed. I can't think of it offhand, but
Maybe once or twice.
I mean, because we're I was gonna say fluid. We're not fluid at all. We're very rigid with how we do it, but we do it our way. Like, I mean, the whole point of being in business for 20 years is like, it's my way or the highway. And I say that all the time now. Like, I used to kind of say it sheepishly, but now I'm like, no, this is how we're doing it. This is how I want to do it. And so if I had to collaborate with someone other than like our team, it'd be awful.
It probably wouldn't work out.
Yeah.
Tell me a story.
And I want only our sign
on there
on the construction fencing. Like, if I had to share any of that building with anyone else,
you get the ick.
Oh yeah, gross.
Tell me a story of a failure or a challenge along the road that like led you to galvanize that belief that it's like my way or the highway and this is how we do things. Like, tell me, we can leave names out of it, but tell me a little bit about how that was solidified.
Oh, well, I make more mistakes than anyone, so I don't know if like saying it's my way. I mean, I think we don't want to be paralyzed by making mistakes, right? And like, certainly don't want to make them often, and mistakes are costly in our business. But I mean, we've all made some costly mistakes, even probably like, all the time. I'm trying to think of one that's happened recently, but they happen often. I mean, the nice thing with a design build scenario is like, there's no pointing fingers at anyone else, right? So when mistakes happen, we own them, we learn from them, we move on, and it's like the little things that kind of can get irritating, like construction sites that aren't kept clean, or our signage is crooked, or like those sort of little things. But if you have like trying to think of, there's been some bigger mistakes, but you have like budget overruns, so that happens all the time. Like, we've got 2 contract styles that we do for our more I guess like our bigger budget projects. We would typically do those under a construction management style contract, so a cost plus contract. And so those, we're setting out the budget, and those clients are usually a little bit more flexible on how they want their spend to go.
Yeah.
And then we do fixed price contracts too. So with those, we're writing the specification, we're establishing what the scope of work is, and then we're committing contractually to what the cost of that project's going to be. So then when we have cost overruns for those are
a little bit harder to deal with.
That's when I'm like, yeah. So those, but I mean, mistakes happen all the time, and I think like we just don't want to be too afraid to make mistakes, or else if we were afraid to make mistakes, we'd end up doing the cookie cutter stuff. That I was
just gonna say, it's like you don't want that fear of mistakes or that fear of failure. You'd rather like innovate and push and move forward and learn along the way and adapt. And I think that's super admirable and the right way to do business, because there's a lot of people that when they say my way or the highway, that means like their materials, their trades, their suppliers. and they aren't open to client participation or to new ideas.
I was gonna say the first thing that came to mind was like trying different products, like trying different materials or different products that a client is really excited about, but you have no experience in, your trades aren't familiar with.
Mm-hmm.
And so you really have to temper those expectations that like, this is new to us.
Right.
Like, it's new to us. It's going to be a little tricky. Warrantying it might be difficult. So there's always like, how do you set that expectation that like, we're all excited and we want to try this, but
what are some
things
of those
can go wrong.
What are some of those products that are
polished concrete? Like, thank God that trend is over, because every time we try to do polished concrete
like
for
floors?
someone, because if you go into the mall and you're in like, Aritzia, and you see the polished concrete that gets tons of traffic and people are walking over, you think it looks cool. But then when it's in your living room and you see like the imperfection of a crack or something like that, and they want it fixed, it's just, we've never had any success with polished concrete. And so to the point where now when people ask for it, we're like,
no,
absolutely not. But we've tried it on a handful of projects. And
what are some other like new or innovative design or construction technologies that are coming up that you have implemented recently or on the roadmap that you're excited to try out? Because that's kind of cool.
Oh, excited to try out is fun. I was thinking ones that have given me PTSD.
Both. Give us both. Give us the ones that have given you PTSD,
like the electrical finishing that we talked about previously. Like that was a nightmare. Working through that, we had a very stunning fireplace that really gave us a headache.
Just because of the material it was clad in, or?
The finish of the fireplace itself, actually.
Okay.
So it was shipped pre-finished. Really excited about it. It was custom. They used it very few times and it discolored. And then again, it wasn't like a local company. So trying to remedy that and get some feedback, just even getting a hold of anyone was really difficult. And then when we finally did, you get one answer and then you follow up a few more times and then you find out, they've discontinued it because they're having all these issues.
Oh, yeah.
So that's really tough when it's like, it just wasn't the right application.
Features like that, yeah.
And there's not a lot you can do.
Yeah, I think balancing I guess that's like, we want to be innovative. We want to try new materials, new ideas, but we also have to warranty those products and stand behind them. So there has to be like a nice balance of like knowing exactly what we're doing on a project and having those trusted trades that we've kind of had working with us for a really long time, as well as supplementing that with some new ideas and putting that together. Like, I mean, our cabinet maker that we use now is a kind of a good example of that, like very kind of like a little hard to work with, really old school, like
meticulous,
like stuck in his ways,
yeah.
but so meticulous and like does such a great job and no deficiencies. And you got to go through a few cabinet makers to find somebody that work. And for us too, like since we are a smaller group, this is what I'll say is you do have to kind of throw all of your love behind like one vendor and one trade, right? Like we have to use the same electrician, the same plumber, the same cabinet maker on every project. One, because it makes it easy for us to deal with warranty and execution of purchase orders and that sort of thing. But also like we need to be able to throw all of our weight behind one vendor so that we get a little bit more like, bang for our buck or service or what. You're right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And there's that sense of loyalty and respect as well,
for sure.
Which is a two-way street. Yeah. What are some of those new materials that you want to try out?
For me, I almost find it's different styles I get excited to try out because
like architecturally?
Like finish-wise, we work with such an array of clients that like we just finished up a heritage home and now I'm working on like an extremely modern build. Like it's cool. For me, I find it really fun to be comfortable with the finishing and how it can be used in different applications to really flex that different style. I'm trying to think of like a really neat up and coming finish that I'm excited to use.
Or what are you seeing any like through lines that are kind of like must-haves or requests from clients that are like popping up independent of the overall architectural or interior design style? Like, is everybody, regardless of whether they're doing like a coastal or modern or a heritage home, like we're seeing this kind of pop up on everybody's radar?
Honestly, no. I find clients so different because they're all at different phases of life. So we'll have clients with kids that are so particular about certain finishes or certain things they never want to have to think about. Whereas I have other clients who are super particular about making sure they have marble or making sure they have something that's really high end and really stunning that they'll never have a kid touch, right? Or clients that are like focused on the lot. So like I really want to take in the view and this really specific tree, or they don't care as much about like what things look like, but that it's going to be timeless forever and they grow into it and it's a stunning home. Taking in the outside. Yeah, everyone is just so different. Like I find trying to like flex the style per each client. Like there could be something that I really don't like, but I know it's like the perfect fit for this client. So like how do I peel that back and make sure like I'm giving them like their best option? That's what I enjoy.
Nice.
Yeah, I don't think we have like a signature style. I mean, I
No.
think we have so many different client demographics in that, you know, like you're saying, young families, like empty nesters, kind of everywhere in between, and the different kind of styles. And I think the fun thing is they kind of flesh out their style as we go. We have some clients that are kind of like, do whatever you want. And we have some clients that are really invested in the decision-making process. And I mean, that's why we get, especially now I was telling you about these multifamily or investment projects that we're doing, like so far, every client that we have on that is a past client, because you get addicted to that, like that decision-making aspect, right? Like it's such a big part of your life as you're going through a project. When it's done, you're almost feeling like a void.
Now what am I going to do?
Right, and it's
Yeah.
true, right? So you can, it does become addictive. The piece of it.
That's the next. That's what I was going to ask next is like, you know, what do the next 1, 3, 5 years look like? We were talking before the interview about some of the multifamily stuff. You know, where are you guys headed with that? And something that I also mentioned, you know, is while there might be all these different styles in any of the projects that we've been involved in, there's always been something that I'm like, it's rectangle project, because it has this like unique architectural feature or interior design feature. And so just talk to me about how are you guys going to continue, you know, over the next 1, 3, 5 years, if we're doing these different types of construction, like the multifamily stuff, like what are some of the ways you might incorporate that like rectangle kind of unique je ne sais quoi into those projects? Or you may not know yet.
Well, I mean, I've got a clear vision of that. Mia's next 1 year is going to be tied up.
My next 1 year I'll be daydreaming about the 3 to 5 after.
Yeah. Well, congratulations again.
Thank you.
Well, let me answer that question.
Shade's going to be rolling solo while Mia's on that lead.
Well, I mean, we have a strong team behind the scenes, so it'll be an opportunity for some fresh faces in front of the camera. I think we've got 2 streams of work we have seen, and I mean, we're certainly not the only group that has seen that, but as the blanket rezoning had taken effect in Calgary, kind of the only calls that we were getting into our office for the longest time was about doing multifamily projects. And, you know, I was like, we don't do that. We're a custom builder. We only do, you know, single family homes kind of thing. But as the conversation had continued, we'd realized that I think there is an opening in the market for what we do in that multifamily space. And that's like, and as I'd mentioned, like the first few projects that we're rolling out are with clients that we'd worked with before. And these are Calgarians that understand that they're probably a little bit noses out of the joint with the blanket rezoning and kind of thinking, well, this is you know, not what I want in my backyard. But I mean, if you can't beat them, then join them, as the saying goes. And
I think taste, yeah.
Right. And so I think having a product that we can do that's coming into that purpose-built rental market or townhouse market that would be for the resale market would be having something that is really thoughtful and well considered and will stand the test of time. Like the way that these have been rolled out is that they are to, you know, they're supposed to be around for 100 years. So we're going to have a townhouse that will be beautiful in 20, 50, 100 years, and having that piece of the business is what I'm most excited about. Maybe not most excited about, I'm really excited about, is that we're going to be taking our product and kind of taking it to the masses, right? And having that quality of the construction and the quality of the design being something that our investors would have and own and be a part of the community. And so that's like the next, 1 year. We've got a number of these projects that are getting set for construction now, kind of went through the grueling permitting process and are through that. And so we're getting ready for construction. So that'll be 1 and 3, and just kind of developing that piece of it. And then giving us the opportunity for taking on the custom projects that we're really excited about, and having, not to be so pompous, but, you get to the opportunity where you're saying no more than you're saying yes, and you get a bit of the opportunity to work on the best projects.
Stuff.
And I think we're at that point in our career now where we can take on the custom projects that we want and get really excited about the multifamily and, I guess, spec projects.
I can't wait to see it.
Yeah, well, I'm going to try and sell you one.
Yeah. I'll get an email on the way out of here. PDF, price sheet, level 1, 2, 3 specifications. Do you have any questions for me?
Oh, so unprepared.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I got one. Please. I'm always interested in what our competition is doing and what's happening in the rest of the city. I mean, we're so insulated from the rest of the industry at times. So, what's next for Calgary? What do you see?
I think you're on the pulse. So, we work with a number of interior designers, decorators, architects, and builders of everything from custom boutique one-offs a year to, big production level builders and everything in between. And I would say that in terms of where we're headed next, honestly, this new kind of political landscape that's happening right now, everything that's going on with the US, a lot of the, Canada first, Calgary first, Alberta, I feel like we're just getting more and more secular and bringing ideas and concepts and relationships closer to home. So we're seeing lots of requests, even from our scope of work, for just Canadian manufacturers, Canadian materials. I see a lot of collaboration between builders and designers, and idea sharing between builders and designers. In terms of the construction in the city, I think the elevated multifamily 6-plex, 8-plex, 12-plex, I'm seeing lots and lots of that coming across our desk in terms of tender. And then on the other side of that coin, we're also seeing a lot of really cool renovations or infills in communities that I hadn't seen in previously. We've done 5 projects in Lake Bonavista in the last year, right? And so these kind of not heritage communities, but older established areas throughout Calgary that you're now the gloves are off, and you can now go and do these kind of larger scale renovations or infills. I think that's really cool. So we're seeing more and more of that. Even Mayfair, I have a project coming up in Rundle, all over the place. And so I think that's really exciting for me because I'm born and raised. And so, instead of it being in the perimeter in one of the suburbs or one of your traditional inner city neighborhoods, now we're seeing cool projects everywhere. We have a brand new infill in Mindapore, and it's 4,200 square feet and it's the only one in a cul-de-sac. And right now it looks kind of, strange when you drive in there, but I'm excited for that kind of innovation. So I think that's where we're headed.
As the city grows, Mindapore's got great access. That's mid-city now.
Right? You're kind of, that's kind of going to be the new downtown in the south. But they've got a lake and they're close to Fish Creek. And so it's... Yeah.
I mean, we were talking about this as we were getting ready to meet with you today, is what should we be using Sonata for more than what we are? I guess maybe we're not
I don't know. Me and the team's been to 5 PKs, but about halfway through, I just see them glaze right over.
So, don't say that.
No, I'm just kidding. You've come to everything we've ever invited you to.
Mia is the best at industry events. Be careful what you invite her to, because she'll go.
No,
I'll take lunch.
No, it's been great. We always count on you guys to show up, and we do a lot of cross promotion, because even the whole idea behind the concert series, right, is it's not just a platform to like promote, buy more draperies or buy more lighting control, or, you know, to showcase our brand. It's about showcasing people from the community and the industry as a whole. And so like relationships matter in this industry, as you know. And like ours has been super awesome because anytime, whether it was an in-house event or a trade event, if we've invited you guys, you've shown up. And anytime there was like technical information, you ask questions and seem interested. So we appreciate that. That's how you learn, is going to
100%. Like, I think like being thrown into the industry, there's so much you don't know, and you really have to own that. So being able to meet with anyone who can give you a little bit of advice, a little bit of direction, or just inspire you in some way, whether it's something you're using for your current project or 2 projects from now. It's, oh, I chatted with so-and-so.
I met with him like a year ago. What was that thing? And
yeah, like even right now I'm looking for a graffiti artist. So it's just like sending out the feelers. You did.
Okay.
He didn't get back to me, but
no?
He sent me one, but working on it.
You know.
But that's the thing, like you just start asking around and someone always knows someone, and it's Calgary, it's so small. So
yeah, it's the smallest big city.
So for somebody that hasn't been to the PKs and probably won't be.
You're not coming to the next one? Okay, that's fine, Shane. Yeah.
Mia does those. I like to go for lunch though. We could. Okay, so what else? Like, I mean, the window coverings are obvious, and I think everyone knows that. But what would be some of the other, like, what would you be tendering for?
Yeah, so I think
these townhouse projects.
Basically anything that has to do with windows and walls. So if there's any wall finishes, so like slat wall covering, acoustics, anything like that. Lighting control, if we want to do smart lighting. We do low voltage and automation as well. And then obviously anything to do with windows. So architectural window film, solar window film, any kind of shading, drapery, exterior deck screens, any of those types of products.
Okay.
Yeah. And then the, other side to our business is more on the services side, which we've been developing over the last probably 36 months, and we're getting closer and closer to going live. And that's digital transformation. So that's digital media, operations, and AI integration for small business, and a focus on interior designers, decorators, contractors, builders, and trades. That's what we do. Okay, let's hear some funny stories from site, funny stories from the last 20 years.
Well, there's
Just fire away, yeah.
I don't know how many we want public, but I guess like there's this like so for 20 years of work, you could imagine how many people we've met, how many pitches we've done, how many people's houses we've been into. And this is like none of our clients that we've ever worked with, but you'd be surprised how many people invite you into their house, and it's like they weren't expecting company, and there's like just crap everywhere, and like, right? Like you're just so like unprepared to have somebody come and
what's the wildest thing in going to like see a potential renovation project that you've walked into a house and been like, you didn't put that away?
Oh,
one woman, I don't know if you remember her, sweet as pie, but she had birds. And do you think you would cage them when you're having guests walking through your house? But she had left them out, and she essentially had a sunroom, sunken living room that was her bird space. But it was so interesting because you're just not used to it. The birds just flying around the house. You think she'd cage them?
There was a drywall contractor that we worked with years ago. They don't work for us anymore, of course. But I got a message into our website, and it was a Saturday night, and I'm looking at it, and it's like, your drywall contractor just physically assaulted me. And I was like, what? So I called them, and I'm like, are you guys working? It's the weekend. He goes, yeah, we're trying to get this house finished. I'm like, the neighbor just told me that you physically assaulted her. And she goes, yeah, I did. She came and told me to keep it down and to be quiet. So I pushed her into the house by her face. And I was like, maybe you don't. I was like, you're fired. Like, what? I get it. There was ways to deal with that.
That's a good one.
Story.
Bird lady, drywall assaults. Okay.
Oh,
I love it.
And well, there's like a million stories about drywall contractors for sure. That's the
one you gotta watch out for.
Yeah, except like we've been working with the same group for years now, and they're amazing. so we don't deal with these issues anymore. But there's just there was the drywall contractors that left all their banana peels on the floor after lunch instead of putting them to the garbage bin that was right there. And then, as luck would have it, I was touring the house with the client that afternoon, and there's like a banana factory on the floor.
I can think of the house right now and I can't remember the trade, but their addiction to Monster energy drinks was like none other. And like there's always your coffee cup, there's always your cans everywhere. But this was like...
My biggest pet peeve is leaving the Tim Hortons triple coffee cup behind. That's
a classic.
You know what? It happens to like it'll be like maybe a deficiency walkthrough with a client, and I'll see somebody come in with that coffee cup, and I'm like, don't leave that in their house. And sure enough, I get a curt text, Shane, somebody left their Tim Hortons cup behind in our house.
It was probably me doing a pre-wire check to make sure the shades wiring was in place.
I've taken a client's phone home once. That was, we had the same phone case and we just had a meeting and I had just taken it and then put it in my bag and not really thought twice. It was like,
it's like a marriage. So really,
they know where to find me.
We went for our Christmas gathering at the end of the year this year. We all went and got manicures and pedicures.
Nice.
Which was pretty go? To LK Nail Bar.
Okay.
And they were awesome.
Like in Hillhurst?
No, it's right on 17th Avenue.
On
Southwest.
Yeah.
But it was so fun to see like the young construction workers that have never had anyone touch their feet before.
That's so awesome.
So
like all the site guys and
everyone
and PMs and design, everybody, the whole company.
Every whole company was there.
That's wicked.
That was fun. We should have taken some drywall contractors there with us.
So like, what's something that like you've learned the hard way over the years? Like that's what I was talking about. Like, has there ever been a time when you like built something that you didn't design or designed something you didn't build? Like you learned a lesson the hard way on a specific project. So I always think about this one client, like year one, 12 years ago. And, I had went over to her house and I had brought sampling and we were going through everything and she was super lovely. And at the kind of end of the appointment, she said, I'm really torn between like this material and this material. And I just said, in my opinion, this is the one that I would go with. And she's like, are you sure? And I was like, yeah, I think this is the winner. Installed it, 1-star Google review. I hate them. This is the worst. You forced me into using this color. I wanted the other color. I want to change it. And so ever since that day, I will always offer my opinion on what would look best or work best or fit best. But ultimately that like final decision has to come from the client. So that's kind of like an example that I use. Do you have anything like that where you're like, you've learned something the hard way and you won't make that mistake again?
I think very similar vein. Like when I first started working with clients, you want to share your opinion and help guide them, but everyone likes something different. So being very careful not to bash what someone likes or like, yeah, you can like something, but it's not going to be for everyone. So like, don't try and like force it on them, but
or make your opinion.
Don't make it clear.
Strong.
Yeah. Because then they either like immediately lose trust with you or they don't really want to tell you what they want. Cause now they're like, oh no, like, is that the wrong choice? But it's the right choice. It just has to be shaped in a way that works. Right. So
I think the nice thing with having like a relationship like Mia, I think, and as you've gotten more industry chops and are, the best interior designer this side of the Rockies or maybe in the whole country, that your opinion matters a whole lot more, right? So like now you're able to kindly kind of coach the client into making the decision that we kind of think is best. But I mean, there is so many decisions that get made throughout the duration of a project, unless we think somebody's making a mistake. And then that's where you get to, I can come in and say like, oh, this is PU. This is like, don't do this. And you can kind of make a joke about it. And I mean, I think the thing is like, since we are not a production shop, like where you do kind of get relationship with clients that you can kind of joke about it a little bit and say like, this
give your opinion / not your
opinion. This is a mistake.
It's true though. You
like,
do have to like save the client from themselves. So it's like you've now gained that trust, you have that relationship. And so it's not going to be as abrasive to now say like, I'm so sorry, I'm going to be really honest. Like, you don't want to do this. And then they're kind of like, oh, but then once you kind of explain it, they get it. And they're like so appreciative, but it's a fine line of like, what do I keep to myself? And what's like really important to let them.
And there's like information overload too these days. Like, I mean, like pre-social media, when you would like, go out and get like a magazine, you'd have Canadian Interiors or you'd have Dwell, and you kind of like obsess over every page, and you'd get like kind of excited about, and you'd have a client that comes in and like, I love this. This is the route we're going. Okay, great. This is what we're going to design the house around. But now, you have all of your decisions made, and they'll see the wrong Pinterest post, and the next thing you know, like we're second guessing every decision we made. And it's kind of like a multiple choice test, right? Like remember when you were in high school, your teacher would say like your first decision is 80% of the time probably right. It's the same in this business too. Like the first decision is right, and the more you second guess it and kind of go around in circles, the more opportunity you have to make some mistakes.
1,000%, because the number of times that we've gone through that in material selections or design process with clients and ended up exactly where we started 2 hours ago, I can't even count.
Right.
So.
You have to exhaust all options, and that, I guess, that is part of the job.
That's part of the gig, yeah. What terrible decision have you saved a client from? Like they've been there and you're like, you saved it at the 11th hour. You're like, no, we're not doing it.
Well, you don't want to call anyone out.
No. We don't have to come up with a name.
They would know. They would for sure know. What's an older one we've saved?
Well, I think that's the fun thing about like this city, and this like the fun thing about urban Calgary, I think, or like kind of where we do a lot of work, is just the eclectic nature of like all of the housing, right? As you go into the subdivisions and you kind of see everything, like that's always been the complaint about subdivision housing, is that it all kind of looks the same. But especially if you go through like South Calgary, like Marda Loop, kind of from between 33rd and 26th, and that whole pocket, there's just so much different architectural styling that's going in there. And you can drive up the street and you would be like 2002, 2007, right? 2015, 2020, right? Because like the trends kind of flow, right? Like it was like farmhouse modern, right? It was like so popular, and like, man, we've contributed to more stucco and cedar houses in this city than anyone else, right? But you could just kind of see the trends as they go, and I think that's kind of the fun part of it, is that like what we think is incredible today, like we're building a house now in Wildwood, and I don't even know what you'd call that architectural styling, but like, I mean, I love it. It's like kind of like a modern ski chalet slash
modern après ski.
Yeah, it's incredible. But I mean, it will be
modern après.
It will be 2025. Like when you're driving past that house in 10 years, you'll be like, you'll know the vintage that it is.
I always have a hard time trying to think of like exact scenarios, because they're like subtle things that happen all the time.
Okay.
Like even just like how someone uses a space. Like again, clients aren't familiar with like looking at a floor plan and understanding how that feels. And so they see something and they're immediately like, oh, this is going to be great. Let's just shove that over so I can get this in there. And I'm like, no, like that won't function. You won't want it, or you're going to get sick of that immediately, or you're not thinking about when you're looking at this, you're also going to see this. Like just kind of putting them in the house and making sure they understand like the full picture, not just this one piece they're fixated on.
That's a great point. Like I think the space planning is so important, and the space planning is so important. I like to think that we're pretty good at it, because you flush out the ideas and get the space so that it flows exactly how the family's going to want to use the house, and it works well. I mean, design trends will come and go, and that's kind of the nature of what you do, but having a well thought out space and having it scaled properly, I mean, that's where I think you can really,
magic happens.
That's where the magic happens for sure. And as we see it, as it's coming together on a plan and you're kind of pushing back and forth, I think that's where we can flush out some of those ideas.
So there's not a million, or there's not like one really big one, at least that we can talk about. It just happens all the time, and you have to like nudge somebody in the direction that they may not know.
Well, coming back to the mistake, we were joking about this when you'd first come in. Like we'd pitched a project yesterday where, I mean, we've been flat out busy and it didn't get as much time on that space planning as we would have liked. And as you're walking the client through the plan and you're kind of realizing it in real time how shitty it is.
That's a good example.
And you're like that was like, oh goodness, we should have asked for an extension on this, because it, like you can see, and that's the kind of thing. I mean, if they answer our calls again, or if this is a project
being unsold throughout the presentation, you're watching them. You're
Totally.
watching it deteriorate.
And I mean, remember, this is
backing up literally.
This is what I'm definitely gonna miss about Mia when she's on maternity leave. But like after every meeting, after every pitch, like we go back and dissect. Like, how do you think I did? Did I talk too much? Well, how did I do? Oh, did you think they liked that? Right? And like having that sort of like camaraderie, like you're like your teammates like in there, like rolling up your sleeves, trying to get a gig, which I love that. If it's a project that we want, like I said, you kind of say more no's than yeses these days, but when you want it, you really want it. So then you're like dissecting every aspect of.
Did they like me?
Was it personable enough? But like it's like,
was that weird?
Yeah, you want it. And as we were pitching, Mia wasn't part of that. I was pitching it with one of our other designers yesterday. You're like, oh my goodness.
Whoops.
Yeah. Yeah.
Do you guys have any advice for young professionals trying to get into this?
Oh, I love that question.
I'm still a young professional. I mean, ask the questions. I am so shocked by the amount of people who like roll up their sleeves and pretend they know everything. Like there's so much you don't know, and that's really all you can own. And other than that, like you're only going to learn by asking. I mean, we only work on a handful of projects a year, so like your opportunity to try things, like you don't want to try it out, it go wrong, and then you don't try it for another like 5 to 10 years. Like you want to ask the questions, find out everything you can, and then learn from your mistakes. So if there is something that goes wrong, like own it and say like, okay, next time, like where are we turning this around? I don't know. I think just being like so transparent with like what you know, what you don't know, who you can lean on, who's your team.
Drop the ego, ask for help, ask the questions, and learn.
That's such a big part of it. Like there's so much ego in in this industry as a whole, but like you're always so careful to like want to show that you know everything, you know every piece of it. But yeah, you can be a little bit vulnerable and understand it. I love this. Like I love this business. I love design. I love building houses. I love every aspect of it. I think it's the kind of business that young people should consider getting into. I think at Rectangle, we've always thrived on a pretty young design team. Like I can't count myself as that anymore, but just having the energy of young people coming into the business. And I think that so many young people, let me rephrase that. Like no amount of education or training can make up for just having good taste. I mean, I always used to say, like, well, I still say it with my buddies, if we're like talking about like what's cool, like what do you think is cool? Like is it cool to, have this piece of art or design, but not only with architecture and interiors, but like what's cool in pop culture, what are like the trends, and like just kind of constantly trying to understand what is cool and what good taste is. And I'm still surprised at how many interior designers or designers that you cross paths with that just don't have good taste.
They just aren't cool.
That aren't cool. I mean, I don't think that I'm necessarily cool, but I can tell you that I try to be, and I work hard at it. And I think that that our business is selling cool. Like we're selling like people that hire us or hire anyone that's in our profession. They want to show off. Right? Like you don't have to acknowledge that I want to show off, but you hire us so that when friends and family come into your home, they're like, wow, this is incredible. This is great. Like the reaction that you want to induce is that like, wow, this is awesome. If your family and friends come to your recently completed home that we were a part of and their jaws aren't on the floor, then we haven't done our job properly.
So how do we get the next generation of designers and builders that are coming into the industry to think that way and to actually become cool?
Oh, well, I mean, I think.
How do you instill?
I mean, I
cool?
think that there is. I mean, if you like look at all of the young renovation companies and builders that are out there that are kind of starting out on their own and kind of where like I had saw myself 20 years ago. I mean, they're way more innovative. They're way more. I mean, we're innovative as well, but you could just see that like that passion about it. I think the industry's live and well. I think there's lots of innovative young people that are getting into it. So I mean, it's probably the same as I think it's the same as it's always been. But you can tell the difference between like
Who's trying and who's not.
That's right. Like I
Yeah.
think you can go and get an education, but I suspect that the best designers that are getting into the industry now were probably pretty innovative and interesting when they were in high school and university and college as well.
You have to want it. Like you said, you can get an education and you can be successful and have a career, but like if you're really passionate about it and you're really like wanting to think outside the box,
you have to move outside the box.
Yeah, like
test,
just,
iterate, learn,
yeah.
drop the ego.
Be a little
expose
quirky,
yourself
for sure. Interesting. I mean, if I think of like all of the like Walker McKinley, one of Canada's best architects. He's just like a cool guy. Like everything about him, I think, is cool. The way that the projects he works on, how he's just kind of curated the brand that he has. Very cool. I mean, I think Amanda Hamilton, really cool. Like interesting person, like everything, like it's like she's cool. Like Walker is always it's been nice, but there's so many I think there's people that have a name in this industry and this business, and if they're dropping the ego and wanting, and so like Walker was like that. I mean, I think there's been a few different the guys at Alloy, Chris and I forget the partner's name. Do you guys work with them?
Just recently, yeah.
So, I mean, I'd met them before I'd even start. Like they had just started out. I hadn't started Rectangle yet. Was trying to sell them some architectural metal pieces, but they like had all the time in the world for me, and they're kind of like answering questions and stuff. So I like that. I like kind of the community that comes. But I guess the point is that all of those designers are. I would put them in the cool category.
Yeah, no, they're cool.
What's the coolest rectangle project?
Oh goodness.
Yeah. So what's the coolest project that you guys have done, and where can people see it? Because then we can throw it up on the screen on the video or link to it. Is it this place?
Well, I mean, I would say this one is pretty cool because it has my touch all over it.
It's also like sneaky big.
Sneaky big.
I walked in, I was like, damn.
Which is kind of I like the I don't want it to be as obnoxious from outside. My wife wants like a mansion on the hill. She wants like everyone to know that she has a huge house, but but this one's sneaky cool. Big. It kind of makes sense. I think there's definitely some projects that hold a special place, and some that maybe don't necessarily hit the mark. Like I think they're successful and they get done and everyone's happy with the end product, but there's definitely some that are pretty awesome. And for those ones, I don't think you could narrow it down. But the one that we just finished in Mount Royal is absolutely incredible. It's like a 100-year-old house that we'd completely restored from the ground up. So all new infrastructure, all the way up through to incredible finishes, where Mia, I think, had a really big part of the decision-making there. Like I think your touch is all over that house, and I think it will last another 100 years.
Yeah.
The one that we're working on now in Scarborough, that one will be special. We did one just down the hill in Sonata. That was another 100-year-old house that I thought we did a pretty awesome job on.
There are a few that we actually haven't photographed, which is kind of a shame. But just, again, the opportunity to try new things. Like, I'm thinking the one down in Elbow Park, there was like a full glazed courtyard, which was amazing. And then we always chat with clients, like, where are you gonna put your Christmas tree? It's just a fun thing to think about. And like the vision of having this like glass courtyard with their like pine on their deck, like fully decorated, like things like that. The Upper Scarborough with the end market was really lovely, just like super mid-century, but blowing out the back of her house and just having all glazing. They had an amazing yard, so you stand in her kitchen and you feel like you're on the deck.
There's been, well, we're on to our 193rd custom project.
Wow.
So there's a lot of them out there that we've had a piece of.
This one will be number one.
Which
The one we're sitting in right now.
well, this is special to me because like it's our family home, but probably doesn't have the same. Well, yeah, not for you.
Mia's like,
It's not like a big project we had done, but Elaine's apartment, we had a client who just loved design so much and just gave us so much freedom on selection. And like his starting point was blue and orange contrast. So you can see how that could go really awry, but he loved design so much and he like took it to a point where like every detail mattered and he loved every detail. And I love looking back at that apartment and just seeing how it came together, because that was
incredible.
Yeah.
Good.
And now we're back for more at his place. So it's nice to kind of come back 3 years later and add to what he's already loving and see it still thriving.
I'll have to describe it.
I didn't know you had that.
It's awesome, hey?
It is kind of
It's
fun.
a Japanese cuckoo clock.
That's sweet. Okay, we're gonna wrap there. My last question. What are you gonna do, Will, Mia's on mat leave?
Oh, this is where you're trying to get me to cry.
No, I think I know how important having, a number one or a right-hand person can be, and having like a really strong relationship with somebody in the organization, especially for a small team. We're also a small team, and I'm blessed to have a lot of those people in my organization. It seems like Mia's integral, and we've worked really closely together the last few years on a number of projects. She's awesome. And so who's stepping up? Well, I was like, so many long ass emails. No, I'm just kidding. Who's going to be stepping up in Mia's place, and what are you going to do while she's gone for a year?
Well, I've been using ChatGPT GPT a lot to help with what Mia would do. Okay, like it's so fun going to work when you have like your pal there, like someone that you really enjoy being around and bouncing ideas off of. And so I think, like as far as the work goes, we've got some talented designers that are there to help us through the next year. And we've got a number of projects that Mia's kicked off and have got us going in the right direction. So that year will probably fly by quickly. But I'm just going to miss having like my bud.
The bad cop.
The bad cop. Well, I thought you were the good cop.
I think I'm the good cop too.
Yeah, I mean that's the thing. It's like such a small, just with somebody every day. So
Yeah, awesome.
you're gonna miss that.
I think that's a good clip. Thank you for your time, guys.
Thank you.
We appreciate it. Your home is beautiful.
Thank you.
And connect us. We'll get that lunch on the books.
Okay.
Awesome. Okay, thanks, guys.
Thank you.
See you.